I'm Dermot Mulroney, and I played Detective Wayne Bailey in Scream 6. You're watching Craven Something Scary. And don't forget, you mess with my family, you die.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just laughing at that intro. You die. Oh, gosh. Hey, guys. Welcome, visitors, subscribers, patrons, and of course, my channel members, my Cravenites. You guys rock. Welcome to Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. And yes, it's week 3 of the Lethal Collective reunion tour. And for this stop, we're shopping in right here, coming in, bringing it all home to Craven Something Scary as we do the channel carousel for the Lethal Collective. I have been loving these last 2 weeks. It's so great to be with my buddies here in the Lethal Collective. And I only hope you guys are enjoying it even half as much as I am, because it's a blast. All right. So, hey, before I bring my guests on, my buddies, the Lethal Collective, I just want to say a big shout out to the chat. A blanket hello. Welcome, everyone. So glad that you're here. Thanks for joining us for our third reunion show, where we're going to talk about Scream 5 and 6. We're going to take a look back. You know, we're always talking about Scream 7 and 8. We're always looking forward, and that's great. But sometimes in life, you got to hit the pause button, take a look backwards sometimes, reflect, if you will, on the past. And that's what we're going to do. So hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I know folks are still continuing to come in. And while that's happening, it's time to introduce the rest of the Lethal Collective. Please welcome Knight from the Night Watch Zone.
Woo! What's up, man?
All right. I wish I had my applause thing here where I could do the applause thing.
Right.
All right. Next up, in order that they came on the stream, no bias here. I love my buddies equally. Well, maybe. Anyway, that's that. I'll say that for another stream. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Please welcome in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. Well, actually, it'll be in the middle right now. It is the man who doesn't need friends. Doesn't need them because he has horror movies. It's Jake from Killjoyjake. What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
It's going good.
Great. Yeah.
Good. I've been demoted to the bottom. It feels amazing.
You know, but you're not demoted to the last spot. Unfortunately, there's only one spot left, so he's not in last place. He's just filling out the screen here, so we have a nice, symmetric, looking good screen. Welcome, guys. You know him. You may love him, you may hate him, but you know what? He's always going to tell you what's on his mind. It's my friend Tyler from Fate Decided. What's up, man?
Saving the best for last.
I knew he was going to say that. I was waiting for it.
And Jake knows all about bottoming, let me tell you.
Well, what can I say?
Dude. Oh, gosh.
My reputation precedes me.
Yeah.
Indeed. Oh, Lord. Well, guys, we're back together. It does feel good, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel great?
Yeah.
I'm loving this.
I see why he's the least favorite.
I guess so, man. I mean,
He's old grumpy.
Grumpy.
Everyone wants honesty until they get it.
Dang.
Just
That's
saying.
brutal, man.
Wow.
All right. Well, guys, tonight, we talked about it. We teased it last week, and we started getting off into some very interesting Scream 5 and 6 talk at the very end. And I'm like, you know what? Remember, we got to allow more time for this. We got to dig into this a little deeper. It's been a few years. Well, I guess a few years is the proper term since these movies came out now. Not crazy long time, obviously. But with Scream 7 looming large over us, with Kevin Williamson back and Nev back at the center, yes, and all this, I thought, look, let's take us some time. Let's go back and just spend some time on reflection. Given what we liked about these movies the most, maybe some things that were detractors, maybe, or just things we weren't crazy about, right? And so I thought we would start, guys, with Scream 5. Obviously, we'll go in order. And I would like to go with Jake, and we'll go reverse around the clock that way. So, Jake, I would like you to set the stage for us when you first, right? Don't spend a lot of time on this part, but when you first heard it was happening, when you first heard who was involved, and what were your hopes before the movie even came out? And then we'll start there. What were your what did you think, and what were your hopes? And we'll come back. We'll keep going.
Oh, I was hyped, man. You know, it's weird. It was kind of a merging of like two of my worlds in terms of horror. I loved Scream and I loved radio silence movies. And when I heard that they were doing it, I was like, "Oh man, like this is gonna be awesome!" No way. I have been a fan of theirs ever since I saw VHS for the first time. If you guys have ever seen that one, I just. Oh my God, I love all those movies. They're so much fun. And their segment in the original, I think, is one of the best. So seeing that, then going into a bunch of their own like feature films, just so much good stuff from this collective. I really like a lot of the stuff that they made. So I was hyped, dude. But you know, reflecting on it, like all the, you know, it was so much fun covering those movies, and then finally getting there, it was just a blast coming out of the theater the first time. I think I've told this story before, but I actually bought out like an entire row in the theater with our friends and all that, and we all just went and basically had a big party, and it was like the Minecraft movie, like how it is today, but back in 2022, minus the popcorn throwing and the drinks everywhere, minus the chicken jockey. But yeah, no, it was a ton of fun.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Tyler, how about you, man? What were your thoughts when you heard the announcement, and you know, what were you, and you found out who was involved? Like, where were you at going into the theater?
So obviously, like once we got the announcement, I was stoked, right? Like getting like Scream is my franchise. I mean, I built the channel on the back of this franchise. So, you know, I obviously I am a fan of realistic horror movies, right? Like, you know, a good supernatural movie, a good ghost movie, whatever. Those are cool. But I love a movie that I can put myself in, right? And Scream has always been one of those franchises. Does it have unrealistic moments? Does it have movie logic? Of course, it's a movie. But for the most part, it's just simple as friends killing each other. I mean, fortunately, you see that every day on the news, just, you know, usually it's a gun, not a knife, you know? So it's like to be able to put yourself in that. So I was like, you know, I was super excited for that. You know, grew up on the franchise, or, you know, 90s kid, so grew up in that. And then, you know, I obviously, you know, not having Wes and all that stuff, there was a form of kind of, you know, let's see how this goes type thing. You know, Radio Silence, I like some of the previous movies. You know, Ready or Not is one that I'm pretty sure everyone is familiar with. But, you know, they had other ones that I was a fan of. So I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. Let's give it a fair shake, a fair shot, right? Especially with the poor performance of Scream 4, which I think a lot of that was just a lack of promotion, right? You know, like I remember going to the theaters and being like, "There's a new Scream movie," and it was like literally like the last like week, and by the time but I had already had tickets to another movie. By the time I was ready the next weekend, it was already at a theater, so I didn't even get to see Scream 4. Right, so it was like, it was just one of those things where it was like, I just felt it was like so poorly promoted. So I was like, I hope that they do this, and then they killed it with the promotion. You know, I still stand by that. Might have been one of the most promoted, like best promoted movies ever. Like as far as like all the little intricate things that they did, and you know, using kind of modern times with TikTok and Snapchat and all these other things. I just thought, and then all the promotions with like Nev and you know, David Arquette, you know, and so. It just really built that hype for me. And, you know, without getting into like the pros and cons of the movie, I was excited and really wanted to go into it with a fair shake, which I do believe I did. And, you know, we'll get into all the ins and outs here in a moment, but yeah, I was excited.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to say that there was a lot of hype and excitement is putting it lightly. I mean, I think for all four of us, content creator wise, it was like, yes, you know, this is like going back home, and we're talking about a franchise that all of us have loved for years. And so I was really excited, and I was really curious too. I remember one of the biggest things for me, I was just so curious how they were going to um, do this movie, and hopefully it would fare better than Scream 4. And that's not to say, because I loved Scream 4, and I agree with you, Faye. You know, the marketing for it was horrible. I remember myself too. I didn't even know it was coming out until, you know, whatever it was, like a couple weeks before it did. But with 5, I was very excited, and also very, it was like nostalgic in a way too, because I kept thinking about Wes, and that made me think of the previous 4 movies. It made me think about Wes's whole filmography. But with Radio Silence, and I'm a huge fan of Ready or Not and their other stuff, I thought that, you know, the franchise was in good hands. And you know, as things got closer to the release, it was just, everything was good. You know, the marketing was good, the vibes were good, you know, everybody involved seemed like they were having a fun time and so forth. So overwhelmingly, I was excited, I was hyped, and I was just and really happy that, you know, I got a chance to talk about it extensively, you know, with you guys, because that made it even better. It felt like, you know, you're, like Jake said, you know, taking out a whole row in the theater, like you're doing something special with people that you enjoy you know, watching movies with, and we got a chance to talk about it so much. So definitely hype was huge. You know, and like Jake said, you know, there was a small part of me was just like, man, I wonder how. But at the time, I got to admit, I wasn't overly concerned or cautious, you know, and I think part of that again was just the hype for it and hoping that it could hit a home run and do, you know, do something special for the franchise, which of course 4 couldn't. It should have, but it couldn't.
Yeah.
So that's how I felt in the beginning.
Yeah, I really echo all of what you guys said. Honestly, I thankfully though I was able to see it in a theater. Fate. I'm so sorry. That stinks. I didn't know it was out either. I literally saw kind of what Fate's experience was. One of my local theaters, we went up there to do something else. I was with my sister, whatever, and it said Scream 4 on the poster. And I'm like, what is happening right now? And so immediately we got tickets and we were able to go back a couple of days later and watch it. It was great. Um, but my expectations were very, you know the phrase cautiously optimistic we say a lot, and
Yeah.
that was me because I part of me first said no, how dare you? Like I kind of got defensive. Like, how dare you do this without Wes Craven? That franchise should be over. That was Wes's franchise, and he's gone. And it really kind of initially I was a little upset about it. But then I stopped after a little while and gave a thought about it more. I'm sure talked to you guys about it and was like, you know what? Look, he's not there, but no one can change that. It's impossible. So let's go and see what these guys are going to do. Let's just
Mm.
go and see. You know, ready or not, I arguably, this is going to be a little hot take. To me, is still Radio Silence's best movie. In my is ready or not.
Mhm.
I think it's so well made,
Yeah.
and I really do. I think that's their number one achievement so far for me. And so, but I like that. And I'm like, okay, let's see what they're going to do. And of course, they didn't write it, but you know, I said they're in control of it, so let's go. I was cautiously optimistic. Of course, all the talk we had on the Lethal and individually on our channels
Hmm.
about this movie was amazing, and I would never change any of that. It was such a wonderful time talking about the film and leading up to it. So, yeah, I went in. In fact, I didn't do what Jake did. I didn't do a whole row, but I did about half a row, about half a row. And I mean, my sister's nephew. I mean, there's a niece. Everybody. We all just piled in there for Scream 5 and watched it together, which was
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
So anyway, those were my thoughts when I heard about it. You know, and prior to going into the theater. So I'm going to reverse order now. Knight, I want to change the gears now. So we've seen the movie, you've seen the movie, right? And then since then, you've seen it, I'm sure, many times. We all
Oh
have.
yeah. Hmm.
I would like to know your initial theater reaction and what was your reaction after everything soaked in off the top level down all the way to the bottom?
Well, it was interesting because I went to the theater with Coriander and we were just anticipating so many things. I know I've said this many times, especially on the collective. I was ready to text message you guys if certain things that happened that we talked about.
Mhm.
And
Astute.
yeah,
We're-
I was I was ready, man. But we enjoyed the experience of it. It was just fun seeing a Scream movie on the big screen again. And obviously, there was that moment when something happens to a certain character. I'm sure we'll talk about these types of things, and both of us got emotional, man. We were both emotional, and I was really, not that I was surprised by that, but I was kind of like, wow, it just shows how much these movies and these characters mean to me as well as Coriander. And when we were done, I was just like, yeah, I felt good about it. And of course, you let those things wash over. And then as they washed over, there were some things that I was kind of like, but I wish this, or maybe this should have happened. And of course, I think what's even worse for us, well, I'll speak for myself as a content creator, you start really kind of dissecting and looking all the different angles, and then that's when I really started to pick it apart a lot more. And then of course we had our conversations as the collective on our individual channels and so forth. But the theater experience was positive. I felt good about it. I was glad I could see it. I was excited to see what my friends and everybody thought about it. I was curious how you guys were reacting to it at that moment. So if nothing else, it just showed how the Scream community, and of course, us as friends, it really is, like, the movie is important, obviously, but like the movies bring people together, and this was a good example of that. So that's how I felt leaving the theater.
Yeah. All right. Fate.
Well, going into the theater, it was one of those things where I didn't know how to respond, right? Like, I didn't think it was a bad movie, but there were just like things like, and then Sam, I got the portrayal of Sam and whatnot, but like there were kind of these, I don't know, I remember leaving the theater and being like, I don't know how I feel about it, right? Like I really wanted to watch it again. I really wanted to see if it was like, it wasn't that I hated it. It wasn't that I like, yeah, it was different, and the whole fan film element of it and all that stuff. There was like just a part of me that was just kind of like, I I didn't know how to respond, right? And I mean, I was very open about that. I talked about it in the thing, and then my girl loved it. She was like, "This is great." So at least she liked it. And again, it wasn't that I didn't like it, because, like I always say, I always try to go into the movies, first as like the fan, and just take it in and just see how I feel about it. And then from there, do the content creator side of things, right? And really break it down and analyze it. But it was just, like I said, it was just different, right? I really liked the tone that it went with, the brutality. I thought Ghostface was just much more darker and brutal, right? And I also felt like, just in general, there were a lot of emotions with that film, with like Dewey Riley and, whatnot. So I just felt like there was a lot of moments that were to take in. And, it was kind of like, I had to process it over, a couple days, and then, you watch it again and so on and so forth. But yeah, it was more, I didn't know how I felt. But what about you, Jake?
Leading up to it, that was kind of when my channel first went up, and I'll just be completely honest, wear it on my sleeve. If you asked me in 2019 about at most things Scream, I would be able to tell you the plot of the movies, and that's about it. But really getting to dig into the behind the scenes stuff over the course of those 2 years, I think it made me appreciate that film even more. I think after coming out of it, just knowing some of the fan reactions to the other movies, knowing what people were saying about the films prior. Like, one of the biggest criticisms before 5 and 6 was the fact that some of the legacy characters were like totally safe. That was like a big thing. Love it. Like that opinion or not, that was a big criticism online from a lot of people, especially coming out of like Scream 4. Like, they were like, I can't believe like Sidney, Gale, and Dewey are still with us. And then for 5 to kind of subvert that, I thought was just like for me, I was like, I would never expect that, especially from newcomers, who are kind of talking all about, respecting Wes Craven's legacy. But at first, I think when I came out of the theater, that was the big thing that was on my brain. I was like, how are people going to react to Dewey? How are they going to react to what happened with that? And at first, I almost thought, like, I think people are going to hate that. Like, I think majority of people are going to, like, protest and riot, but now it's like it feels a little more divided. Now it feels a little more 50-50 on that, but I don't want to make this all just about the one thing. Overall thoughts, I really did come out of the theater buzzing. I remember we all were just talking about it the entire way home. Came home and talked about it even. And I think the big thing there is for me at least, 5 delivered at least one of the characters being mysterious. I think we all, like, it was pretty unanimous with our group. Like, we all had one person figured out and the other one was kind of a big surprise. So that was another big element to it that I feel wasn't there with Scream 6. With 5, we were like, oh my God, the mystery was sick. Like, that was really fun. I didn't see them doing it that way, especially with how a certain person is revealed. So we personally were buzzing. I think, and Craven, part of your question was like, how do you feel about it now?
Right.
I'm definitely a little less hot on it. I still enjoy it. I still like it quite a bit. It's not at the bottom of my ranking, but it's not towards the top like how it was. I think if there's anything if there's anything I see through it now, it's just, I don't know if I love the ending entirely. It just feels a little too close to trying to replicate the original in a lot of ways. And I think that's just kind of where it loses me a bit. But for 5 and 6, I pretty much have the same criticisms. Like, when it really does try to commit to doing its own thing, it works for me. I'm vibing with it. But more often than not even, I think it's just trying to be like, hey, remember this thing from the past? Isn't that great? Isn't that awesome? And that stuff is where it kind of loses me. But when it does try it's something weird or out, like something very radio silence, I can see like a really fun movie in there. But it just doesn't feel as clean cut as some of the other films that feel a little more focused on whatever their topic ends up being.
Were you supposed to say how we felt about it?
Well, just overall, yeah. Then I'm going to start. We're going to get into some real specifics.
No, go ahead, Craven.
So yeah, I'm very similar to you guys. I was excited going into the theater. My family, I said, a bunch of my family was with me and stuff, and it was the Dewey thing we're going to get to later. Although Jake touched on it. I was sitting there. I shouldn't say never, but I don't recall another time in my life of many old years. I'm Old Man River. And I can tell you this, I don't recall a time where I was openly crying in a horror movie. I don't believe that's ever happened to me before Scream 5. And I felt it was coming. I held on to Night every minute I could because Night was just convinced it was a bait and switch. He's either going to survive or it's going to be Gale. But I held on to that. Remember our Lethal Collectives? Yeah. Night was the only one, I think, maybe among us that was totally committed to Dewey not being killed because it's too obvious. And that's logically correct. But unfortunately, yeah, I sat there trying to eat popcorn, trying to enjoy the movie, and all of a sudden it really happens. And they fake us out. And here, I guess I'm breaking my own rule. I'm talking about the scene. When he got up after the initial attack, I'm like, yes, people clapped. Like, Dewey is he's getting out. He's going to the elevator. They did trick us. Knight was right. The minute he says, you got to get him in there. No, you don't. I got to get. You leave. Dewey, you leave. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, guys. I couldn't hold that in. But having said that, that one scene aside, I was hyped. I was like Jake. I mean, I was the whole way home. Same thing. I was feeling that moment. You're buzzing still from the moment. It's like, wow, and you're taking it all in. You're remembering it. And then, much like you guys have said, upon further inspection, unfortunately, I was hoping, like the first 4 films, every time I watch it, even to this day, it gets shinier, and it gets shinier, like a car in a showroom, and it just keeps on shining. And I was hoping the same. Like, let me keep watching now. And so I kept watching. I'm like, man, okay, let's watch it again. And unfortunately for me, I lost a lot of shine during the process. And right now, it's currently my least favorite of the entire franchise. Number 5 is. And let's just, you know what? Let's rip the Band-Aid off. I guess I already kind of did, and Jake kind of led me to it, and I couldn't stop from there. So, Jake, we'll go back to you, and then we'll go around. Let's talk about some of the highlights. What are your highlights of 5? And then we're gonna go, but then we'll come back later and talk about what were not highlights. Let's start on the positive. Highlights to you.
Well, I mean, the two things that everybody was talking about leaving the theater, and I don't know, maybe you guys had a similar experience, but it was either two things. It was I can't believe Dewey's dead, or I can't believe like what happened with Amber shooting Liv in the face. It was those two things I was hearing coming out of the theaters, and those to me are the best moments, and probably the reason why it's not my bottom movie, why it's not on number 6 out of 6 right now. I rank it at aptly at 5. It's my fifth favorite. But I don't know, to me those moments are so shocking they still carry through as the more I watch it. But I do think that well, okay, we're talking about positives. Amber's reveal is awesome. I fucking love it. I did not see it coming. I thought it was a major shock. Loved it. Like, great stuff there. She's very hidden in plain sight. I think, again, looking back on it after multiple watches, there are some clues. There's literally a conversation between our two killers in the hospital room before they get revealed, which is cool. I also really like I don't know. I don't feel like her dialogue ever gives her away, but there are hints. You know what I mean? She's kind of the one that typically instigates the conversation about who the killer is. If you watch it closer, I'm sure you guys have noticed stuff like that throughout some of the conversations with her before she gets revealed, and it's fun. It's nice. I wasn't expecting it. Dewey's death, how I feel about it is does it suck? Absolutely. But I get an emotion from Scream 5 that I don't get from any of the other films. And that's another reason why I personally can't place it at the bottom. I can't place it at the very bottom because it's heartbreaking, dude. It's the only Scream film that has made me just absolutely want to run out and just puke or something, because it's like, no, that's my favorite character. Dewey's my favorite character. Right. The more I think about it, he's my favorite. Mm-hmm. So that heartbreak is refreshing in a franchise that is typically so fun and positive. So to get something that is a little darker, a little grittier, I think is, again, maybe not for everybody, but in my eyes, very refreshing. So I liked that about this entry.
Okay. All right, Fate, tell us what are some positives, things that you look back on and say, I like that, or that was done good, or what have you, for Scream 5?
Well, it's really hard to figure that out, but no, I really liked the tone that was set in Scream 5. Like, it's one of the things that I really talked about, where in previous Screams, Ghostface was, a little clumsy, right? That's why like Scary Movie's so great, right? Because it's just like, it's like so accurate, right? Like, I should quit drinking and stuff like that. It's just like, and where I felt like, Ghostface in this film was very like precise, to the point, and brutal, right? There was no playing with your food. There was no like nonsense. It was just all sneak attacks, right? From Vince getting that. Like, the only one that Ghostface saw and survived was Tara, because that was purposeful, right? Like, that was the plan, to have her survive, have her live, so that way, they could bring in Sam and stuff like that. But it was just like I like that every time you saw somebody on screen, you knew they were probably going to die, right? And then even the Dewey thing, right? Like, there's the whole, Amber killing Dewey, but again, it was a surprise attack. It wasn't. She lost the fight. Dewey. She has a knife. I don't know if you know how hard it is to fight somebody even half your size with a knife. You're probably losing that 90% of the time, and Dewey still won. He also set up the fact that, he has, ligament damage. He basically set up that he was going to die, right, in dialogue, and he still won the fight. And then, he does a Dewey thing, which, gets distracted, and boom, it was done. So I appreciate the type of Ghostface, the tone of Ghostface, of this film. And, I thought the pace was a little better in Scream 5 than, like, a 6 or something like that. Obviously, we'll get into the pros, the cons of things, but I thought the pace was a little better. There was a couple things that I wanted them to kind of marinate on a little bit. I really wanted a Sydney reaction to Dewey's death. I'm not saying she had to break down. I'm not saying you had to have her break down and cry or anything like that, but just like a reaction. Anything could have just have been her, just like, okay, I'm coming type thing. I felt, that was something that would have been big, but like obviously Dewey being the kind of heart of that film, I thought was really good. I thought Gale was a lot more purposeful in that film than like a Scream 6, but they did a good job. I felt like they should have inversed the story, right? Like, because Dewey left Gale, but if you know the history of Scream, Gale was always leaving Dewey. Like, that's not who Dewey is. So that was something, but I did like that we got information on it. But yeah, it was just kind of more the tone, the way that they established this film, and raising the stakes. I thought they did a better job of that, and then ruined it in 6. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. Go ahead, Knight.
Well, I think there were a few things that I thought they did really well in the film, and you guys touched upon it too. I thought Ghostface. I felt the tension. I felt the possibility of almost anything happening. Because we have this whole new cast of characters, and even in the opening scene, with the call and the attack on Tara, I thought that was really well done. I thought that the dialogue was great. Roger was awesome. I mean, Roger was just so awesome in that scene. It felt like it had an edge to it, and I really dug that. I remember in the theater, I was getting all tensed up, and so that was really cool. David Arquette was the home run for me. I thought his performance was fantastic. And, it's funny because, like you said, Steven, I was saying, man, it can't happen. We see it right in the trailer. So it can't really happen. We're not that stupid. But I should have known, because, I mean, the performance was so good. It had such a nice focus on him that worked for him to strengthen him as a character, give him weight, but he didn't take away from, Sam and Tara. You know what I'm saying? So they balanced that fairly well, I think. Courtney Cox, had some nice moments in it. I think she was, like you said, Tyler, she was much more effective in this than in 6. Sydney was okay. But it was nice to see her, so, but my big thing was David. I just loved his performance, seeing him grizzled. And I kept thinking to myself, man, knowing that there would be more movies, because it's just a great franchise, I was like, man, this is a great Dewey to roll with for a few movies. You know what I'm saying? I just dug him, like that grizzled old sheriff, in the old West. Yeah, so I mean, so that was a highlight for me. And of course, that's also why, and Jake, you made a really good point. That's also why the emotion was so high when things happened. And I realized at that moment, even though the emotion was a sad emotion, I realized to myself, man, this stuff means a lot to me, man, because I'm sitting here teary-eyed, wiping my face. I look over at my girl, she's doing the same thing, and I'm like, this is what makes movies special to us movie fans. This is why we kind of live these movies. So anyways, those were the high points for me, and shout out to Amber too. Like Jake said, in plain sight, and I've said this before, but she's grown on me over time, man. Because as I rewatch 5 and kind of see what the Oscar winner was doing, future Oscar winner, you know what I'm saying? I was just like, there was some really cool stuff. There was just some really cool stuff. And her turn was chef's kiss, because it got me. I was like, what? So anyways.
I was gonna say that they should have honestly, I think that they should have killed Gale, left Dewey the way that Dewey was, and had him go down this like journey. You know what I mean? Like, how would look at how he was in Scream 5. Imagine that, but he just lost the love of his life.
Yeah.
Especially the love of his life that he just abandoned in New York. And now she died rather than the inverse. Right. Which is why I think that they should have went the other route. Right. Historically, Dewey does whatever he can to keep Gale around. Gale always leaves. It was 60 Minutes too. Days in Woodsboro. She tried to play the housewife in 4. You have her in Scream 5. She goes and gets her big break again. She goes to do this morning show, leaves Dewey in Woodsboro. He's broken, right? Like, And then if Dewey dies, then Gale now has to live with that guilt that carries over into Scream 6. But they did the inverse and then killed the guy that left, right? Like, it's just like, you should have done it the other way. Gale dies, and now Dewey has that guilt of like, not only did I leave her, but the last time I saw her, she died, right? And now what is that journey like? I just think that would have been so much better writing. But what do I know?
Hey, well, we'll talk about some of that, I think, in maybe our next round of the negatives. But for me, some positives. Number one, I agree. This was well, I was coming up with a nice adjective, but anyway, this was a monumental performance from Dewey. I think David Arquette played it so well, and I bought it. I bought every bit of it. I mean, it was just so believable to me. And man, he stole the show. If there's one, even though he dies halfway through, he's to me is the best character in the whole movie.
Absolutely.
And yeah, for me, it's number one. Now, if you get past after that, I think Jack Quaid was phenomenal as Richie. I thought he's a great actor. Number one, love him in Companion too, as well. I mean, oh my gosh, but he was so. I thought his execution was flawless. Honestly, I don't have anything bad to say about the character Richie. I could just about strangle the marketing department for letting us know he's one of the killers in the trailer. Outside of that, as far as him being his character in the Switch, I thought it was great. I loved him. Jenna Ortega was a highlight for me. I thought that she was exceptional in her role. I got to be honest with you. You guys know this. I've never shied away from it. I think that's going to be one of the now. You know what? I'll just leave it alone for now. I got something to say about Melissa. We'll talk about that. But I think Jenna shined. I think she was excellent. I was personally hoping she would be the final girl after 5. Like I was hoping that she would be the one to lead the franchise.
I think that's what everyone was hoping.
It seemed like a lot of people felt that way. Now, I know not everybody, but that's just how I felt. I thought
the consensus.
I thought she did a great job. And then I will say this about the Ghostface point that Fate mentioned earlier. It's the first time we've ever seen this overly aggressive chop, 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 like you're chopping something for dinner or something. It's like crazy, and that was new. That was new and unique to 5. Was that chop, 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 fast, 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 and then there's the contrast of the slow poke. Or it's not slow, it's quick, but just the poke in the neck to Vince, right? And then, of course, the Dewey kill, which is very Stumacher-like. But, that was very different than the other kills as well. So, I like that. So there's some positives. And I will say this about it as far as the positives. And I know time is flowing fast. So I'll just say this. I thought it was a great love letter to Wes because I felt that Radio Silence, they did really want to honor Wes in this movie. And the whole scene with Wes, the character, which was another homage, of course, when he's in the kitchen waiting for his mom to get Judy to come back with food, that entire sequence of the doors opening and closing, and it's a fake out, that is Wes Craven DNA to the core. That was like, he would do that so well. And the tension, I'm like, in fact, when I was watching it in theaters, guys, I actually told one of my family members, I said, "Oh, this is totally Wes Craven. This is, they're paying tribute to him in this style. They're doing this." And so that was a real positive, I think, overall. They did want to commemorate Wes. They brought back 30 people from the movies to say for Wes in that one scene with Chad. So they took time to honor him, and I respect that. And so that's for me. Those are the positives. I could come up with another couple, but I'll stop there. Now, Knight, I'm going to flip back to you, and because I know we're running a little short, we're doing okay, but let's kind of maybe go more of a speed round, not necessarily speed, but just shorter round this time. What are some negatives, Knight, that you take away to now looking back on 5?
Well, I think that we had a lot of characters, okay?
Yes.
And we all know that you know, the runtime was cut down a bit. I think what, 18 minutes or something like that. I can't remember,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I think we could have used those 18 minutes, you know, just so that I could get to know, you know, some of these other characters a little bit more. It wasn't horrible, you know, it didn't make me want to leave in the theater or anything like that, but I just feel as though we had so many characters, and I didn't get close enough to enough of them. You know what I'm saying? And we have the OG3, and I just think that the balance of OG3 and new characters, I think they did it better in 4, to be honest with you. But that's just a, you know, my quick take on that. And I also feel like, as much as I enjoy Melissa, you know, in this as this character, you know, I think the way that she was portrayed, I don't think it did a lot for her as the final girl, as the lead. And I understand, we talked about this 1,000 times, but I understand why she was portrayed that way, because of the things that she dealt with in her life, and all of that is great. There were some great interactions with her and Tara, but Tara's character was just so much more dynamic. You know what I'm saying? And part of that, you know, you could make the case of maybe it's Jenna versus Melissa or what have you. But what's interesting is, and I know we're not talking about it yet, but in Scream 6, I think Melissa was fantastic. You know, it was the way that she was written. Like, that character in 6, I want to see that final girl in a bunch of movies. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel like that in 5. Still enjoyed the movie though, you know what I'm saying? So it didn't destroy it for me, but I just think that the balance was off a little bit with the characters. You know, when a bunch of them died, I was just like, you know, okay, you know, Wes was a good death, but even for Wes, other than being named Wes, I was just like, well, you know, what are you gonna do? So I think that was the biggest issue for me, is I just didn't feel a connection with a lot of the newer characters that I wish I did, and I think that I think the writing for Sam's character could have been just, you know, a little bit better to make me more invested in her.
That's a great way to put it. All right. Fate, what are some of your negative takeaways looking back on 5?
A lot of things, but
Maybe your top 3.
no, it was basically. I mean, I have more for 6 than I did 5. Five I thought was all right. Like to me, it was more of the writing. I just felt the writing was rather lackluster, right? Even certain characters, the lack of character development, right? Like it just, you know, I understand you have all these, like Knight said earlier, is, you know, you have so many characters, so much, which I have concerns about Scream 7 with, because there's like 18 characters in this movie. But you just have too many characters you're trying to develop, you're trying to tell the OG story. I just felt like they didn't do a great job of like executing. I mean, look at Sam and the way that they wrote her as a character. I get it. She was on all this medication. They were trying to make her, you know, kind of be plain bagel a little bit, but I just felt like that's not what you were looking for from a final girl in a slasher film. You know, I felt that, like I said, kills were good for the most part. You know, the ghost face was okay. I just felt like the overall writing and story was rather lackluster. I felt like it really, like they should have flushed it out more, right? Like, I mean, we talked about this when it happened, right? I'd rather get that extra 18, 20 minutes. I'd rather you give us an extra hour if you have to. If it's a good movie, people will sit through it. If it's a good movie, people will enjoy it, right? I mean, look, there's Marvel movies that are like 6 hours long. Like, you know,
it's so true.
There's horror movie. I mean, the It franchise, you know, each movie was like 3 hours. Like, you can do a long horror movie if it's engaging, if it's done properly. If there's just a bunch of dead time, you know, no pun intended, then yeah, it comes across poorly. But you know, if you do proper storytelling, proper character development, proper execution, you might have been able to get more out of Sydney, right? Like, it's just, I just felt like it felt like a film where they had a goal in mind. They just didn't know how they wanted to do it. They just didn't know how to execute it, and it was a little disappointing. But what about you, Jake?
You know, just to make this quick, I think that all of my problems with this film come down to when this film is trying so hard to make a connection to the original, like all of them across the board. Sam Carpenter, you know, we've been talking a lot about her. I feel my issue with her is more so the fact that she's trying to do a Skeet Ulrich impression. She's trying so hard to be Billy from the original, like to symbolize I'm I'm his daughter, you know, and that's why you get a lot of stiff line deliveries in 5 and 6 from her. Because you watch Abigail, watch that musical she was in. That's not how she acts. Like, I mean, I think some people get this impression of Melissa Barrera from 5 and 6, and they're like, what's with all the, like, there's this line, the one that sticks out the most to me, and I know we're talking about 5, but in Scream 6, when she tases the dude in the nuts, she's like, stay away from my sister. Like, she says it like this. But again, go back and watch how Skeet Ulrich talks in the original before the reveal. When he's revealed, then he's all slick and crazy and cool, you know? But before, he's very stilted. Hey, Sydney. Hi, hi. How are you doing? And it's, again, he's covering up. He's covering up the fact that he's a fucking psychopath. So I get why that decision was made, but ultimately, what if she wasn't Billy's daughter? Wouldn't that movie have been way better for it? Way more simple? I personally think so. It's just, I don't know. A lot of my issues for the film come from that. The opening scene, I think Jenna Ortega gives a great performance. Line deliveries are awesome, but again, just too many parallels to the original and too much just trying so hard to be the Casey Becker scene again, you know? What would that scene look like if it was just, we're just going to do our own thing here? And there's there's logical elements to 5 that make it different. Tara survives the opening, but like, was anyone really clamoring for that? Was any Scream fan really out here like, oh man, what if someone survives the opening scene? I want to see a brutal murder to kick off my horror movie. You know what I mean? The fact that Vince's death is the first one in the entire flick, I feel like is a bit of a complaint. But last thing, I'll shut up after this. The ending, again, it shouldn't have been at Stu's house. Great setting in the original film. Don't get me wrong. It's awesome. But man, that's like one of the biggest, most pivotal moments of any Scream film is what's that final setting going to be? 2 and 3 especially have some sick set pieces at the end. And I feel like we were almost deprived of that in 5. You know what I mean? We could have gotten something along those lines. And 6 does pick it up in that department a little bit with the broken down theater with the shrine and all that. But I don't know. I would have rather have seen what is Radio Silence's final set piece, you know what I mean, versus just the same one from the original. So I don't know. There's a lot of moments in that film where I just wish they had let go and just made their own movie in this existing franchise and just let's see what happens, you know? A lot of the things that pull this one back is them trying to force a parallel, even though, yes, they do a really good job at respecting Wes Craven's legacy.
I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not a Stu guy by any stretch of the imagination. I want to make that clear. But if you were gonna do the Stu set, you should have had Stu back. Right? Like, how cool would it be? How cool would it have been if they were at his house? Yeah. And then in the end, he pops up and he's like, welcome home. You know, I'm home or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, to do the Stu Macher's house, right? I agree with you. Like the setting, it's like I get it. Just they tried to fall too much into nostalgia, and it took away from what could have been a great film. You could have had some moments here and there, like a great example. And I know Craven, you got to do your turn, but a great example was Mindy's basement scene that was very reminiscent of Tatum, or right? Like, you could have just had a scene like that. You know, had like, you know, 1 or 2 scenes like that where you have this expectation, oh, here she goes down to the basement about to die, like Tatum, subvert expectations, and it would have been fine. You didn't have to do an entire movie that was almost a shot-by-shot replica of 96. If I wanted to watch 96, I would have watched 96, right? Like, right. I would have liked to see an original film sprinkle in a couple homages, fine. You know, if you want to do the West Coast and stuff like that, fine. But I just think that they got a little too carried away. So I agree. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's actually one of the things I was going to mention. So, you know, man, you're right. I mean, I'll just start there. You know, Stu Macher, man. Stu Macher's house. His house, man. How do you blow that? It's like, just find a different place to do it, as Jake said. I think we're probably all in agreement on this. I mean, I don't know, Knight, if you agree, but if you're gonna go there,
do it in Sydney's house. Do it in Sydney's old house.
Anybody. Honestly, I don't care if it's down the street in the ditch. Don't go to Stu Macher's house because if you're gonna go there, go there. I mean, all the way. Bring him back. Let us see him. That's one. And you know, I agree with Knight. There's so many characters. And unfortunately, most of them are throwaway. I don't even care about these people. Like, I don't know them. And they did not allow us time to get to know them. You know, And so there's very few that I cared about. I cared about some, but like what's the model that got her head blown off? The first kill with
Oh,
by Amber.
yeah.
Sonia
Oh,
something,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Sonia
yeah.
Amar.
Sonia Amar.
Yep.
Yeah, Liv. Her character was Liv.
Live.
Could
Sonia
care
Amar.
less about Liv. Bye bye, whatever. uh, I just don't care. Vince
Yep.
don't care. Although Vince is interesting
Right.
because that revealed that Stu has a sister, which I love that, and you can still use that.
Mhm.
But I agree. Overall, quickly, characters too many. Trying to squeeze in the new, squeeze in the old, and they cut 20 minutes off the movie. And I agree with Knight. We needed those minutes. We really did because it would have helped us care more about people.
Yeah.
And first, it really would have. It would have made a difference. And I think killing Deputy Judy was. I just didn't think that was necessary. I think there was so much more could have done with her character, and I was disappointed how they wrote her. To be honest,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
a good
you
point.
know,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
thought
just
I thought it was a kind of a slap in the face. I mean, she wasn't a big character from 4,
right.
but she was, she was right there with Dewey in 4, and to have her come into
Hmm.
5, I was excited to see her. I think Marley Shelton is a really, really fun actress, and it's just the way that she died. It's like,
Exactly.
I know they wanted to
Great
jump out
scene
and
build
get
up.
her, but it's like,
Yes.
come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agreed, 100%. What else? Anything? I mean, I'm starting to rush myself. So look, I'll just say this. It's my least favorite sequel, only because I don't really feel, if this makes sense, and this is probably a hot take, and I may not mean this 100%, but a part of me doesn't feel like a Scream movie. I don't know. I guess those first 4 movies were just the atmosphere, the feel, if you know what I mean, and the mystery. I just wasn't there for me. The mystery is a big part. And now the reveal was cool of Amber. I'll give you that. But seeing her in the trailer burning on fire in the kitchen, I know she's a ghost face. You're not gonna do that to someone who's not a ghost face. So I thought my odds were 85% that she's gonna be one of the killers, and she was. And so I guess that kind of was just disappointing. That's marketing's fault. But anyway, I think that Jenna Ortega, I already did my positives. And I have to say real quick about Melissa as well. You already hit on it. She felt really stiff in her execution of her lines, and when she was trying to cry in the hospital room with Jenna, I didn't feel it. I just did not feel it, guys. I'm just being honest. I don't. I see her trying to muster the tear over here, and it's like, but yeah, Jenna's over here. I mean, I'm like, oh, poor girl.
Because
My
doesn't that
heart's
go into the
breaking.
writing? Doesn't that go into the writing?
Well,
Because they,
could
they, they
be.
write the character, they give you the notes
Yep.
on what the character, the way they envision you portraying said character. If they
Right.
wanted to have more emotion, isn't that the director's job to be like, hey, we want to draw more out of you, or this scene is
Right.
supposed to have more? You know what I mean? To me, that was
Yep.
the writing and directing. Right? They clearly wanted
Could
her
be.
to be portrayed that way. Clearly, you know how we know that? Because look at Scream 6. They
Did you
Right.
completely
watch Bed
changed.
Rest?
They could change completely
I'm
way.
just saying. Did you watch Bed Rest? I swear, Night saw it with me.
Yeah.
It was shortly after Scream 5. It was freaking Sam Carpenter.
Yeah.
Night, correct me if I'm wrong, bro.
Yeah,
It was the
it
same delivery, the same everything. Now I do see Scream 6 used better. I'm giving
yeah,
you that now.
yeah.
But Night, you know what I'm talking about. Don't know if you guys saw Bed
Yeah.
Rest that she did.
Yeah,
Bed Rest.
Yeah,
I
yeah. I
don't
mean,
remember.
granted, I
Yeah.
mean, and I like Melissa. I really do.
Oh
The
yeah.
only thing I'll say is that maybe it was because she was bedridden. I mean, pun intended. I don't
I
know,
guess, man. I
but
guess. Look,
but
go ahead.
yeah,
Finish
it,
your
it,
thought.
it
Go ahead.
was kind of a rough movie. It really was. But
Right.
again, once I saw her in 6, and I
Right.
know we're not there yet, but I'm just saying, once I
Sure.
saw that, I was like, yes, there we go. That's a final
Yes.
girl.
And I admit that I was the first to come out and say that. Like, and I said I'm
Mm.
giving her I'm giving her a chance. But yeah, anyway. So those are my overalls, guys, for Scream 5. And yeah, so we'll leave it there leave it there at 5. But you know what? We got some super chats that we need to get to. So let me go through some super chats. Then we're going to talk. We're going to talk pretty quick about 6. First of all, Knight saying, "I love you guys." Thank you, Knight, and I appreciate that.
Stop.
And much love to you, man. Much love.
Ooh, my God, it just got hot. Did you see that?
I'm sweating.
I mean, he's with the guns he's got up there. I don't blame him.
you.
Dude, woo. Who needs a tank when you got night?
Man.
Oh my gosh. All right. Russell Dorsey sending in a super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says they're bringing everyone else back. They need to bring Jill and Cotton Weary back. High Lethal Collective was always awesome to see the core 4 back. Well, thank you, Russell. We appreciate you, buddy. All your support. And listen, I'm with you. I'll just jump in. I'm like, and I think there's a chance that Jill will be back. They're not going to announce it. I think in some way or form, AI, flashback, voice, whatever. Cotton Weary. Wouldn't it be cool, guys, if they did a flashback with Cotton Weary?
Yeah.
At Marine's house? Wouldn't that be pretty awesome?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. So yeah, any thoughts, guys? You want to jump in? Do you guys want to see Jill or Cotton back? You think it could happen?
Well, you guys know I love Jill, so that's all I gotta say.
Yes.
Cotton never could have died.
And he said the same thing. Is like his biggest regret because that was his idea.
That was his idea,
the opening kill.
Well, but to his defense, it's because Scream 3 was a total dumpster fire, and he was like, "Get me out of here," because originally they had a different character that was supposed to die. So, in his defense, he was like, "I'm out of here," because they had somebody else that was supposed to be the opening.
It had nothing to do with the script. Lev Schreiber came out just a few months ago in an interview and said the biggest regret of his career is being killed in Scream 3. He said, I asked Wes to kill me off because I didn't want to be typecast into horror. This is what he said. Yep. And he says this is the biggest regret I've ever made was being killed in Scream 3. That was just a few months back. You probably didn't see it, but that's what he said in an article.
He also said 5 years ago it's because of all the stuff that was going, or 10 years or whatever it was. What is he supposed to say? He's supposed to come on. Wes is dead. Everything. He's supposed to come on and just start bashing the film. You know what I mean?
He did. Okay.
All right. You know what I mean? Like he gave the PC answer. That's the PC answer. You know, like
all right.
But the other answer, the other part of it too, is that he talked about how back then they had no idea that horror could live, for so long after a movie came out. And, you see all these cons and stuff that we do and online and so forth. And he felt like, man, I missed the boat to be a part of that, ongoing.
The legacy.
The legacy. So
you're right. All right, Erica sending in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Erica. I appreciate all you're doing in the chat as well. Just want to support how it's awesome. Say hey to my fellow OG Core 4 lovers. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Go OG Core 4. Yes, I love that. Thank you, Erica. Your support is much appreciated. Stella G coming in with a super chat. Thank you, Stella. Says, I walked out of 5 very numb over Dewey, but we went back 2 days later and saw it again. I liked it then, and I still like it now. Well, good. That's good. I'm glad you get enjoyment out of it. I still like it. I just have to fast forward the Dewey scene. I really do. I don't watch it, guys. I fast forward it. Let me see what we got. Oh, real quick, Stella G celebrating a 7-month membership, but look at this even more. She's got it down to the day. 256 days till Scream 7. Stella, I love it. You're always bringing the data. She brings the facts, the numbers. It's always really cool. Sherry, what's up, Sherry? I'm glad to see you here with a super chat. Thank you. What would be 1 or 2 things that could be changed to make Scream 5 better, funnier, and sharper to rival the OG? Ooh, it's hard to. I don't know if any of these sequels will ever rival the OG. Just my opinion. But Knight, real quick, what do you think? Any quick thoughts on that? What could have made it better?
Well, I just think, like I said, I think we should have either had more time to kind of get, more time with the characters to make them pop more, because they don't pop like the original. They just don't. You talk about the original, even when it had first come out, I could talk about all these characters. You could talk about Tatum. You could talk about Stu. You could talk about Randy, and all those characters had so much that you could love about them, or at least have a conversation. With 5, I don't have it like that. I want to. There's some great actors in this thing. What they did with Kyle Gallner alone was criminal, as I love him.
No.
And it's
Yeah.
like, bro, was Vince in those 18 minutes? Because I want some more Kyle. But
It's true.
anyways, but I do think that you know, having more time for these characters would have made it better. I would have felt more better about the cast, which would have made the kills better because I would have been more invested in the kills and the people that died. So that's the main thing for me.
Yeah, the
Yes.
character development, the character development was too poor for those four. And in all honesty, I mean, we've had 2 films with them. We still don't even know who they really are. Like, who
Mhm.
can you tell me who Chad is as a character? Like, can you tell me who Mindy is as a character outside of like giving dialogue that goes nowhere? Like, Dewey had substance. Like, you knew who he was. You knew the type of person, character, story. Gail, right? Like, look at her development over the films. I mean, we've had two movies where they're all basically the same character, and you don't even get across who they are, right? Like I don't know anything about Chad other than like he's the muscle and he gets stabbed a lot and lives. Like, I don't know anything about Mindy other than she just gives a bunch of dialogue randomly that leads nowhere, and everyone just kind of like entertains her. Like, what does she do? Who is she? Like, it's just like, oh, like there's no substance to these characters. Like there was with Sydney and Randy. Like, you knew who Randy was, right? Like you got it. Like, like you knew who he was as this character, the love that he had for Sydney behind the scene. Like, they did a really good job of building those characters.
That's the writing too.
Storytelling and whatnot. Like, I mean,
Kevin.
Core 4, you never really even get to see interact very much, especially in Scream 5. They're all like in a group, and it's like Amber and everyone else. It's like, these are your 4 guys that you're supposed to be trying to build the franchise with. Wouldn't you want to focus on them more? It's just, I don't know. But anyway.
Scream 5 it's a movie that sits on the fence. I mean, it can't decide if it wants to be about the legacy characters or a bunch of new people. And had it gone all in on one or the other, I think it would have been better. Not better than the OG, because I'm with Craven. I don't think any of the sequels come close to topping the original. It's just it's a masterpiece. It changed horror forever. The sequels are fun and I enjoy watching them, but nothing, and I mean nothing, is going to ever top the original. Nothing.
Well said.
No way. Well said. Yeah, and for me, I echo what everyone said, guys. I think it's the characters. If we could have had those 18 minutes back, I think it would have been a much better movie. And I really do. I think that's the key, and the writing, of course. Although I think there's a lot more plot holes in 6 than there are 7, or in 5. But still, if they could have written the dialogue a little bit better too, maybe it would have helped. So I'm with you guys. I think that's where I check out. I could do more, but we'll leave it there for now. Great super chat, Sherry. I really do appreciate your support in the channel very much. We got a couple more guys to get to. We have, well, first of all, DJ Jack just joined the channel. Welcome. Great to have you as a Cravenite.
What up, DJ Jack?
DJ Jack in the house. Fantastic, brother. And DJ Jack sent a $10 super sticker, and the super sticker says thank you. And it's a pear saying thank you, bowing down with his hands like this. Love this sticker, DJ, and thanks so much, man. Love having you here in the community, brother. Russell Dorsey with another super chat says, you will be on the stew train in no time, fate decided.
Good
like
luck.
They always say, never say never. Do this for Wes Craven at least. This channel rocks. Well, Russell, thank you for the accolades for the channel. I appreciate it. And I do agree. I think Fate one day, I mean, look, Jake has been on and off the train so much, he's burned holes in his soles of his shoes. But Jake told me he is back for good. He's given his word.
Stu's back in the new movie. You have to be on the Stu train. He is back.
He's back, and you got the shirt to prove it.
Yeah.
Jake gives in to peer pressure.
No. He's a smart man. He thinks it through. So well done. And I never give hope. I never give up hope on Fate. I love Fate. I think there'll be a day. It's going to shock me, but I think it'll happen. And one more real quick. Hollywood guy, what's up, brother? Sending in a super chat here. Says weird question. Uh-oh. What is one thing you don't want to see in Scream 7 that was in the other movies?
Copying the previous movies.
Yeah.
Mm,
Just make your own movie, man.
People did it. Can we
I
do
think
something?
you did it.
That's
That's it.
exactly what came
Yeah,
through
yeah.
my mind too.
Unanimous.
Yep.
Yep.
It's unanimous. There's nothing even more to say.
Thank you for that.
Hollywood guy.
That was easy.
Thanks, buddy. That was easy. But appreciate it, man. Appreciate the question and the support. Really does help. Now, guys, we're at a crossroads here, so I'm gonna throw this out on the table, and get y'all's opinion live here on the screen. We really don't have time to give Scream 6 justice because it's already 7:12, almost 7:15. My time 8:15. Well, wherever you are. So my thoughts are, and I don't want to push into Tyler to Fate's stream next week and his topic and what he wants to do. But do you think, Fate, could we do at least a little Scream 6 next week?
Okay. Yeah. You
sure.
Put up a quick little poll.
Poll.
Yeah. Put up a quick
good idea.
poll. Ask the chat.
idea.
Like, what does the chat want? Does the chat want us to talk about modern stuff, or they want to hear our take on Scream 6? What if the chat was like,
that.
we don't want to hear about the old one?
Give it to the people.
Give it to the people.
Democracy.
All right. You guys
gotta love
keep
it.
chatting while I'm typing, as I can't do both. It's impossible.
You
I don't
gotta
know.
love
I
it.
just to kind of tie into that Scream 7 thing and keep the conversation going while Craven's doing that. Like again, I can we get an original movie? Can we get can we, I know Scream 6, people want to argue like, oh, well, it was different. They did it was the same idea as Scream 2. Yes, were there some differences? Sure.
I will argue you on that.
It was the same thing. And you would argue
I remember
well,
that
but
episode.
it's fine. Point is like, again, I don't need to see Sydney having a cousin that comes out of the woodworks, right? Like,
Right.
It's like, it's not a brother this time, it's the cousin. Like, it's just, I'd rather, can we just tell a new story? You have a fresh opportunity. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to agree with you. But here's the thing that is really interesting to me is that the lane that we have for Scream as a film, it's a pretty wide lane because you have a bunch of different characters. You have a killer that can be anybody.
Exactly.
In each movie, it could be anybody with any motivation, any ability, any type of background or whatever. And yet, these movies stay very narrow. And so it would be awesome if when we see Scream 7, we come back and we talk about, oh my God, wow, I didn't see this coming, or this was like a whole new feeling or a whole new way that they approach anything in the film. That would be so cool.
I'd rather them copy ideas from other movies that haven't been done in Scream than copy another Scream movie. You know what I mean? Like, think about how many horror movies there are in the world. Like, copy one of those and just make it like Scream related. You could do all kinds of stuff. It's just, you have an opportunity right now. You have a clean slate. You finished the Sam and Tara arc. You got Sydney with her family. That has never been a thing. We never even thought that would have been a thing, 20 years ago or whatever. You have a whole new direction that you can do built around her and her daughter, right? We don't need her cousins, nephews, uncles, brothers, sister, right? We don't need that to be the killer. Just tell a story. You got Sydney, you have her family, center it around that. So again, the simple answer is usually the best answer. You don't have to go all these crazy complexities. You don't have to try to be cute with it. Just make a Scream movie.
I have another thing too, is like, how about, and I know we don't know everything that's going to go on, but I'm just talking about just in a vacuum, a killer. How about if we have a killer that actually scares the crap out of us?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, obviously being psychotic, you're a little woo, whatever. But I mean, seriously, we could have a whole new depiction of the killer or one of the killers. I think that would be awesome. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that too.
I don't think you need, they always want to try to get cute with the motives or have the same repetitive motives. I'd rather you just have the guy be crazy and just why are you killing people? Because I thought it would be cool, right? Rather than having it just doing the same, because it's fun, right? Rather than doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? I'm not saying you can't have a motive. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a motive. But if it's, hey, let's repeat a previous motive or just have a guy be crazy, I'd rather the guy be crazy than here's the good old revenge factor for the third time. It's just I'd rather you do something different, right? And just give me a good Scream movie. You don't need an excuse to kill Sidney Prescott if you're Ghostface. You're Ghostface. That's your white whale. You don't think every Ghostface that ever you don't think every killer that's ever put on a robe is like, man, I'd love to be the one to kill Sidney. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't even need some crazy complex reason for it. It's like, why are you coming after us? Because I found out you were Sidney Prescott. Okay, we all get it. Okay, cool. Like, you don't need to do something cute. Like, keep it simple. But what about you, Craven? How do you feel?
Yeah. And what was the question again? Because I'm completely.
It wasn't a question. It was just kind of like we were just
just talking about some things that we think about with Scream 7, how to do it differently.
Differently. I got you.
Yeah,
yes.
Kind of like.
Yeah, one thing that they've already revealed. Well, not they officially, but when my source, who was on location when they were filming the downtown Pine Grove scenes, he spoke to one of the people, one of the production crew members, and they were chatting. And the individual told my source, he said, "Well, he says I can tell you that a ghost face does get killed in the daylight outside. That's never happened. So I know one thing's coming we've never seen. There's never been a demasking of a ghost face in any Scream film during the day outside with the protagonist there, like a true reveal. Charlie doesn't count because there was no one saw that happen but Kirby, and Sidney had no idea. That doesn't really count to me. I'm talking about an actual demasking outside during the day, which is interesting. So that's one thing I'm excited about. I'm like, that's new. We've never seen that. So, we've seen tons of killers thanks to 6. I still am a fan of the cult idea, though. I always have been, where it doesn't have to be a lot of people, but you've got the mastermind, you know who I want it to be, but you've got the mastermind who is leading a group, kind of the Scream 3 plot, which never was filmed, but modified, not the same. I like that idea. I always have, so I really hope they do that because we haven't seen that happen actually on screen. Just talked about years ago. So those are a couple things I'd like to see new. But the biggest thing, I'll say, Fate, real quick, then you can go ahead. The last thing for me, and it's not really new, but I don't think it was there in 5 and 6. I want to see a jaw-dropping mystery slasher whodunit. Like, I want to see the Scream 4, which for me was jaw-dropping at the reveal of Jill. I was shocked. That was a mystery to me. Scream 2, I thought was a great mystery with Debbie Salt. Looking back on it, you kind of get it now, but going through it, I never really thought about her. That was a great mystery. For me, guys, that's something I wanted that I think's kind of been lost lately. So I hope this is a genuine whodunit where, like, Knight, you and I were watching Hard Eyes. We get an hour and 15 minutes into this thing, and we're scratching our heads still. Could it be him? Could it be her? That's what I want.
Right.
Go ahead, Faith, though. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so, like, okay, let's go into the assumption that this is a trilogy, right? We're at least getting 2, right? We're getting 7 and 8. Let's assume that they're going to do a trilogy because that was originally what was said, right? So I would imagine that Scream 7 is going to tie into Scream 8 and so on and so forth, right? Now, obviously, I'm not big on Stu, but you guys are. Jake, you guys gave him the Kool-Aid, and now he's, drinking.
Oh, yeah.
It tastes real good, Fate.
It tastes great.
Join us. Join us.
One of us. One of us.
It's like the faculty when he's like, when he goes and runs to the football. I can't remember the character's name. He runs to the football, and he's sitting there, and he's talking. He's like, it's beautiful here. And he's talking to the girl, like, that's what that reminds me. I can see Jake, like, in a door between us, and he's like, you love it. There's no pain. There's
no pain.
Great.
Oh, Lord.
But no, the point is, I know we're crunching our time here. So my thing is, like, okay, let's say they go the cult route. Do you guys want the cult leader revealed in whoever it is, whether it's Stu or somebody else? Do you want the cult leader revealed in Scream 7? Or do you want the cult revealed, the leader shown not unmasked, because I would rather that leading into Scream 8 to where now all the marketing and all of the conversations and everything are the buzz of like, who is that? Is that Stu? Is that somebody else? Who is that? But the big like, oh my God moment is that like, you know, the people come, they kill the killers. Everyone thinks there's something good. Maybe it's something where somebody stays back and then the cult comes out and kills that person. And then you see the clear cut leader and then it cuts to black. And we're like, you know, and it's like this cool moment. But because we know there's another film, instead of ruining who that is, if they're going to do a trilogy, if it's going to end in Scream 8, then fine, have the reveal. So that way, you know, because you're going to have the conclusion in the next film. But if we're really going to do a trilogy, or the plan is at least to do a trilogy, I like to see them don't reveal who that is. Keep that as like a conversation piece leading into Scream 8. Scream 8 now is we all know that there's a cult, the clear establishment of the cult, and then in Scream 8, it's revealed who the killer is, and then you have your conclusion. What do you guys think? We'll start with Jake.
I'm down for a two-parter with a cult. I think that's cool. But what does it say? What's the horror commentary behind that? And like that's a big thing for me. Like I think 5 gave us something to chew on, whether you want to call it buzzwords or not. Toxic fandom was an interesting thing for them to tackle. And Richie actually makes some hilarious points about it. That's like, dude, you're so hypocritical and you don't even realize it. Yep. So to me, whatever it ends up being, if you're gonna do a 2-parter, give me something to chew on. That's what this franchise is built on, is literal commentary on slashers and trilogies and whatnot. So I'm here for it. Cults, if you got a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
My 2 cents.
Yeah. Knight, go ahead, man.
No, I totally agree. If they can make it work and it's got something that has some depth, I'm all for it. And to also jump on that point, I mean, it definitely would build up some great hype for 8. I mean, we've seen this type of thing in movies and TV. Who shot JR? And it's like everybody was
yes.
like, well, it could. Can you imagine the streams that we could have before 8 if it played out like that? It'd be so cool. But I do think if it was to play out like that, I still want it to really throw me for a loop. You know what I'm saying? So obviously the writing would be so, and we know it's crucial anyways, but I'm just saying the way that they craft all of that would have to be so on point to really make us say, oh, well, wait a minute, and thinking of all the little details, all the little clues and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I'm good with it. I would love to see that if it was something that had some depth. It would be important to me.
Yeah, well, I love the idea Fate proposed about we get the reveal of the cult people, the members in 7. They all get demasked, and everything it looks like we're done, and we're not, because the leader is still unrevealed, and we get that carrot, like you said in Dallas. I mean, look, I was a kid. I didn't watch soap operas at night.
Right.
Okay. But I got into the whole mystery because I love mysteries even as a kid. So even when I was young, I was like, who shot JR? And I watched that episode. It's like, I'm not lying to you. The whole summer, I was like, who do you think it is? Asking people. I'm a kid. I don't know. But it was fun. But I do love that aspect of a cliffhanger. And you guys know, we mentioned it before. Kevin Williamson wanted to do a cliffhanger in 2 and 4. And Wes overruled both times. And so this is a chance that he could do it. The 7's going to start filming before 8, probably even 7 even comes out. And I would love that ending. Don't reveal it. Make us sit here and sweat for a year.
On it. Make us think about it. Think of the conversations, the live streams. And it would be a nice callback to the original idea for Scream 3, which was the Ghostface in the bell tower, but we didn't know who it was. We just saw Ghostface, right? So let us, I mean, we're all used to TV shows and Stranger Things taking 5 years to come out with this next.
Right? They're all old now.
You know what I mean? I'm a big From guy. Like, we have to wait 2 years for the next season to come over, and it was like the biggest ending ever. And sucks because I was gaining some traction in that community, but it's a different topic. But point is like, I like the idea of like letting us stew a little bit, right? No pun intended. I just realized
you can't say that word without it meaning something else around here.
I really was accidental, but No, rather than because like all of like the easy route is you get the ghost face reveal. Oh, it's Stu or it's somebody else, or it's like, oh, who's that guy? And now we're following him throughout the film. Instead of doing that, keep it ominous, and then you could have that be the reveal in Scream 8 that could lead into Scream 9, and then now you can do a trilogy. So anyway,
I love it. I love that. I really do. I think that's a great idea. Could you imagine the streams we would have theorizing who it could be? If it's Stu, or if it's not Stu, who could it be?
Could it be Roman's sidekick? Right? Could it be Angelina? Could it be Could it be somebody else that we don't know? Is it one of the friend group? Is it somebody from the cat? Like, there's so many possibilities. I just keep us
fun
in the dark. But
I kind of wish. I think I kind of really want that to happen. Like, can we get a hold of Kevin Williamson and say, "Look, dude, I don't know if this is what you're doing or not, but could you do some reshoots?"
Tyler, hey, buddy.
Just make this happen, man. All right, let me look at the poll, guys. Here we go. It's overwhelmingly a landslide. 85% of the chat wants us to reflect on Scream 6 for next week's show. So there it is. We've already proven we can do one movie for an hour and plus
easily.
Easily.
I sent you the link via email, by the way, Craven. It's already posted on my channel.
Oh, good. Let me get that right now.
Yeah, I was going to tell you in the private chat. I forgot.
No worries.
But yeah,
I got it.
So that way everyone can go do that stuff. But
all right, here we go. Link. Here we go, guys. I'm about to post it. Link to tomorrow. Tomorrow. Link to next week's show. It will be on Fate's channel, everyone. And we want you all to be there, please. Here's the link. I'm coming out now. Go click that link and do us all a big favor. Smash the thumbs up button, even right now. Just click it, smash it. You're good. Don't forget to set the reminder button. Hit a set reminder. Because you never can trust these notifications. So
nope.
All the reinforcements you can.
Subscribe, by the way. Yeah, you should do that. I said subscribe if you're not subscribed, by the way.
Of course, subscribe. Yeah. Absolutely. So if you're not subscribed to Fate Sighted, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
There
do
it is.
it.
Do it now.
Do it, young Skywalker.
I love it. So we'll be on Fate's channel next Monday, same time, 6 p.m. Central, to continue and we'll be reflecting on Scream 6. And hey, DJ, just subscribe. There we go. Keep it going, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Keep it going. That's awesome. All right, last time, final words before we shut down. Knight, I'll start with you, and I'll close this out.
This was a great time. Seriously, it was totally nostalgic because we spent a lot of time on Scream 5 and obviously Scream 6 as well. But now having some more time that has passed, it really makes you look back on it. And I'm being serious when I say this. Yes, there were things that were frustrating, and those things are there. But some of the positives, it does seem like it's a little bit, rosier, like especially like when I heard Jake say, that emotion that he felt about Dewey. Yeah, it was sad, but at the same time, it showed something that we hadn't really had in the franchise, and for me, it also showed me, and I already knew it, but it showed how much I care about the franchise. So this was a great conversation, guys. Great points.
Yeah. Further piggyback night. This was just. I mean, we could talk about water being wet for an hour when we get together. So I mean, it's like the conversation is the easy part, but it's just it is fun to always look back. Years later and multiple films now later, and kind of. Do the comparison thing, because I mean, even myself, when I first watched Scream 5, I actually had it as one of my favorite sequels, and it's kind of dropped down the ladder. I mean, I remember when we were all doing our rankings, I'm pretty sure all of us had it higher at one point. I think the consensus thought was like, hey, this was one of the better sequels. I don't think it was like towards the bottom for any of us, if I remember correctly. And then it's kind of just dropped over time, which, I mean, like that's the thing. I mean, you watch the original. Like I could watch the original Scream on repeat.
Oh, me
never
too.
get bored, never get sick of it, never get tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm like channel surfing or something, I see it on, I leave it on. And like there's other Scream movies I felt like that. I don't feel like that about 5 and 6. Like it's not one of those films that I'm like. you know, if there's nothing on, sure, I'll watch it. But if I can find something else, I kind of tend to, where there could be something else that I'm interested in. If Scream is on, I'm like, all right, let's watch Scream. You know, like, but I just don't feel that way about 5 and 6 personally, which is disappointing. But
I weirdly feel a very similar way about all the Scream sequels, just in the sense that I feel like they all have some kind of big high, some sort of big like, wow, that was a moment, you know what I mean? But I don't know if the rest of it is all there like the original, you know, and I think that's my thing. They're all of them are fun across the board. I could put on any of them and have a good time with them. But yeah, I 5 especially has lost some points with me over time, which does bum me out. I remember I remember like defending this one tooth and nail, being like, I want this to be good. These are my boys, Radio Silence. Like, let's go, baby. This is gonna rock. But yeah, it's definitely not my favorite from the entire franchise. I still do love Radio Silence, but those are directors I feel that are just best when they're allowed to do entirely their own thing, and there are confines in this series that you have to stick to. And I think especially from a studio perspective, there's things that you gotta make connections to the original because money. You know what I mean? Remind you about like one of the greatest horror movies of all time. How are you gonna skip out on that opportunity? I get it. But ultimately, I think Radio Silence just works best when they're doing their own thing. Abigail and Ready or Not are without a doubt my favorites from them. And I think I like both of them better than their 2 Scream movies. But I do love 5 and 6. Ton of fun. I agree. There's no bad Scream movie, Kay. I couldn't agree more. All 6 of them rock for totally different reasons. But again, I got to say it again. OG, it's the top, baby. It's the cream of the crop. Nothing tops it.
Nothing at all. Hey, real quick, guys, a couple super chats came in. Got to get to these before we go. Real quick, Hollywood guy, thank you, brother. Says, who will be the first kill or the first opening kill for Scream 7? I say Gale. Night, go.
Well, they're going to show Maureen.
Ooh, okay. I like it. Flashback. All right.
Yep.
Bait.
I mean, problem is, we got information about Gale already that's public, so I don't want to ruin it for
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We even talked about it on the last stream. So
yep.
So skip me. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Or pick one. Forget Gale then.
I just don't want to be at. You know what I mean? I don't want to fake. You know what I mean? Like I could make up something on the fly, but it would then. We're kind of beholden to our word. If I say something and then somebody holds that to me later, it's like, oh, you knew all along. You're a liar.
I got you. Right.
Fair. I'm with Knight. I definitely think they're going to start with the flashback. Very Halloween Kills right? But if it's one of our new characters getting killed, I first of all, I don't think it's going to be the legacy characters. So if it's going to be one of the new characters getting killed off at the beginning, I'm going to say McKenna Grace. I feel like that's a big enough name to be a shock. Still, and it would be upsetting. She's young, and it's like, oh my god, you're killing. It would be like actually killing Tara at the beginning of Scream 5. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's upsetting. She had so much life ahead of her, and now you've just taken that away. So McKenna Grace, it would be an upsetting, gruesome way to start.
Okay, great. And it's a twofer. I like that. I'm with Knight. I'm here. Same thing. My heart wants a Maureen flashback. That's what I want it to be. The opening kill starts. The screen comes on slowly, and you see a car driving down. It's nighttime. You see headlights coming down this long drive path. Looks like a street, but it's like a driveway. And you see at the bottom of the screen, 1996. Or 1995. Dude, if that, I'm already getting excited. If that happened.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
No, well, he's gone back in time.
There was too much excitement.
He just got teleported back. DeLorean just came through.
I know. He went back to 95.
Look up the DeLorean. It's like, get in.
We got to go back to 1995.
Great Scott.
I don't think we're ever ending the stream now.
I'll pick up that moment though. Like, the door opens slowly and you see you see these shadowy figures that get out, and then we realize that it's like, whether it's Cotton or whoever, and it's like that would be cool.
Since we're
do you want it to be, do you don't think it'd be too much like Halloween Kills?
No,
well, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think it'll be different enough.
No, Night is the ruler.
Guys, we have Craven's page right now. We can do whatever we want.
Whatever we want.
I'm just saying. No, but seriously, what makes it different?
Man,
you're like, we're erasing all the Stu Trade stuff. It's all gone.
Oh jeez, taking out all the wallpaper gets taken down.
That's the biggest way to get Craven to hate you.
He puts up a bunch of supernatural stuff.
Like, we're derailing the train.
Yeah, like just me driving the train. Like.
We're a left turn off the rails or something. No, but big thing with that, with the flashback is like, I'm just gonna be real with Halloween Kills. I don't feel that flashback does anything for those movies besides it being really cool. I thought it was gonna set up something for the trilogy, but it doesn't.
True.
This could, you know what I mean? That's my big difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, just, it is so monumental because this is something that's so integral to the whole franchise. You know what I'm saying? And if they did it right and, everything just had that right feeling, it would be so cool to see. I'd be on the edge of my seat, man. I'd be like, oh my God, this is awesome.
A little update from Steven. He said that his power went out and the router is rebooting. He will be back very soon. So let's do Steven a favor and keep the stream going for a little bit. How we doing in the chat, everybody? We can't pull up chats, but thanks for being here, fellas.
Yeah. And Scotty said he just subscribed to Fate Decided. You're all right, bro.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, now we have time to talk about Scream 6. So
yeah, we might as well.
You're getting extra.
What's something you really hope to see in Scream 7? Either you can start. Go ahead. Knight, you want to go first?
I mean, I just want it to feel like a Scream film, but yet, like we've all kind of said, I want it to be fresh. And that's so tough to do. And I know that, this is a franchise that's been around for decades, but wouldn't it be so cool? I mean, I guess you could dream, right? But wouldn't it be so cool after we see this film that we've got multiple things that we could talk about that just blew us out of the water? That would be like absolutely amazing. I just want it to have that feel that those older films had. But also the mystery, and I think Steven mentioned that earlier, the mystery. If I can be in this film, watching this film, and 70% through the film, I'm still like in the dark, and I'm like, wait a minute, maybe this, maybe that. And to be honest, I try not to think like that, but that would be amazing if I don't know who the killer is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or killers.
Raven, real quick,
guys, my power went out. I'm back. I hope we're live still.
Yeah, you're good.
We are still live. Yeah.
We were holding it down. Don't worry.
Okay.
As long as I'm here, we're fine.
Oh, thank you. I was like, no.
Raven, real quick, so we can wrap up the stream. What is something you really want to see in Scream 7? We're kind of going around. Night just started.
Outside of Stu, my number one is Stu being alive. That's a given, right? Outside of that, though, I really want to see. I'm going to shove them into one. I want to see a really well-written movie to the movie. The character development he excels in so well, and immerse the very best mysteries of the franchise. We look at Scream 7, we're like, dude, that one was.
Oh man!
Oh no!
He's cutting out.
Oh, it could have happened again.
Jake, what about you?
Mystery.
Mystery
aspect.
There we go.
Yeah, if we could be if we get a great mystery and a great written, well-developed story, I'll be happy. Even if Stu is not shown alive in 7, I know we're going to see him in some way, and I know that does not mean he's dead. It just means.
This is great.
Poor Craven. I feel so bad.
I've been in that scenario before.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Perfect.
I don't know if you heard any of that or not.
It cut out a little bit.
We piece together.
Yeah, we got you.
You got me. Okay.
What about you, Jake?
I will say we do have one more super chat from Hollywood Guy, so
Yes,
we will get
Yes,
to that
we
in a
do.
second here. But just big thing, you know, if I could, here's a weird thought, because you guys had some great points. If I could do anything with Scream 7, like literally anything, I hear so many people say, like, Jake, these films don't feel like the originals. Honestly, biggest reason for that is they're doing nostalgia wrong. That's why I'm bitching about it all the time. What if they set a Scream movie in the 90s again? Do something as simple as that. You're now
Wow.
transported back to that time period. You are forced to make things look a certain way. Make it, you know, shoot it with the Panavision cameras that they did with the original, opposed to spherical lenses like how they did with Scream 6. Scream 6 doesn't feel like Scream because it's set in the modern day. They shot it with spherical lenses. It's a different looking movie. It's a different feeling movie. It's from a different time period. I say make a Scream film that takes place in the 90s again. I don't care how you got to do it, if it's with different characters, whatever, but just Scream Ghostface 1996, 1997, sometime around there. Give us if you want to do nostalgia, do it in a way that's not in your face. Do it where it's just the setting. You know what I mean? People want to be transported back to that time period in their lives. That's how you do it in a subtle way.
So yeah, so it's funny because I don't know if you could do the movies that way. I'd love to see a series, like go back, like a series that like just goes back to that. The movies, the problem is like, personally, I don't ever want to lose the continuity. Like that's one of the things that's beautiful about Scream is you don't ever have to change the narrative. But I do agree with you in the sense that like I do want to see it kind of just get back to the basics, right? They keep trying to go the nostalgic route. Stop going like the biggest thing that I want with Scream 7 is just a new Scream movie. We're in the 7th film. You're going to have an 8th film. Instead of trying to make this, you know, Scream 1, 2, and 3, make this Scream 7. Forget everything out. You have the Sam thing. You had the original trilogy, right? I'm not saying you have to forget it and not, you know, it's like this is an alternate universe or something. No, I'm saying you keep the continuity, but I'm saying like let's move away from the original trilogy. Let's move away from Scream 4, 5, and 6. Let's keep everything what it is. You have a new structure. Sydney with her family and build upon that. Develop the characters, develop her husband, Tatum, because I really do think Tatum's going to eventually transition to be the person. Fine, however they go about it. Whatever you want to do. Let's stop going backwards and trying to piece in the modern with the past and just what can this team do with the Scream movie? What can Kevin Williamson, what is their Scream movie? Stop making Wes Craven's Scream movie or a version of Wes Craven's Scream movie or whatever. Make their Scream. That's what I wanted with Radio Silence. What was Radio Silence's Scream movie? And I felt like we never got that with them. I felt like we never got their Scream movie. It was always like pieces of the past, like remnants of the past, rather than like, what can you do? Look at Ready or Not. Look at, Abigail. Look at these other movies. Do something like that, but Scream. And I really hope that we get that with Kevin Williamson at the helm. Like, who better to get Scream back on track than Kevin Williamson? The guy that wrote it, created it, made everything. Like, I don't want Scream 3. I don't want Scream 5. I want Scream 1, all over again. Like, clean slate, here you go. Right? We all know the characters. Again, you don't have to lose the past. You don't have to lose what made the characters the characters. Obviously, you're getting the Meeks twins and stuff like that. So there are remnants of the past already inherently in this film. You don't need to keep going back and referencing it. Just stick to the script. Have this film be its own thing. It's kind of my thoughts. But
okay,
Craven, go ahead. Get the super chat and close us out.
That's it, man. You got it. All right, Hollywood Guy, send in a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, I'm sorry, guys, but I'm with Fate about Stu. Well, see, there's one person on the planet
wise man
with you.
Wise man.
But here is a theory. What if the cult leader sends a ghost face to kill other ghost faces, then kills that ghost face and has a showdown with Sydney? Wow.
There's a lot of ghost faces.
That's a lot of stuff going on in that sentence. Jake, why don't you tackle it, man? You want to tackle it first?
I pitched the idea of Melissa Barrera essentially going after, like, before we knew anything about 7. Like, what if Sam was going after people online who were like threatening to kill people as Ghostface before they even did anything? So like it wouldn't exactly give her. Yeah, it wouldn't give her grounds to go after those people or even like the FBI before they did anything, but she's like going and murdering them before they can do anything. I always thought that would be fun, really weird reinvention of the series, but maybe that's fan fiction. I don't know. I feel like if we're gonna do something like this, I would almost want it to be set up across multiple movies. It's complex. It's kind of is it even a murder mystery anymore? You know, you got to ask these questions. I guess you got to. There's a delicate way to do something like that. I feel.
I wouldn't mind if you got something like kind of spin it, right? Like, because clearly it's like you want a Ghostface versus Ghostface thing, right? I wouldn't mind like if you had let's say they go the cult route, right? And you have Tatum, and maybe her boyfriend's a Ghostface, but he falls in love. Imagine if Billy fell in love with Sydney so much that he was like, I don't want to kill her and do what I'm supposed to do, right? Like, what if you got something like that where he's the one that comes and spills the beans, right? He's supposed to kill. He's supposed to get close to Sydney, do all that stuff. So it's kind of like the cult leader using a ghost face to infiltrate, to have a showdown with Sydney, kind of like what you're suggesting. But instead of that ghost face going through with the plan, it's the typical, guy meets the girl, falls in love, and decides to give up his path for the girl. And you can go that route. And now he is like, hey, let me help you. Like, what if you got Ghostface turned hero? And he's like, maybe he hasn't killed anybody yet. He just like his mission was to kill Tatum and Sydney and Mark and everything, and he just decided not to go through with it because he fell in love with Tatum and he wants to, and he ends up being the hero that helps save them. And you have a Ghostface save the day, like full costume, full everything, fucking
kind of a weird little redemption arc or something.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
In the end, right? And it's kind of follows what Hollywood guy is talking about, where the cult leader sends a Ghostface to kill, Sydney, and maybe he takes out a couple Ghostface along the way, trying to protect Tatum and Sydney. And in the end, the only people he killed was Ghostface to protect them. So it's like, hey, he kind of became a double agent, right? So just thought.
Hey, all right, Knight, your thoughts?
I think that's a lot going on, but it could be something as simple as what Fate was saying. I mean, I remember we were talking about possibilities, for some of these twist type of things going on, and one thing that I said was very kind of similar, but it's like, you have this character that isn't a Ghostface killer, you know what I'm saying, but is in on it, whether it's a setup of something or maybe something with information that led to a death, of a character, maybe even a major character, and then dealing with that and so forth, whether they're redeemed or not. I just think that having a character, even a little bit outside of the spectrum of a ghost phase, I think would be interesting, because again, it just adds a different layer. It's something different that we haven't seen, and if it's done right, it could be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This would be something new. We were talking about earlier. What do we want to see that's new, right? Make it something we've never seen. That would definitely be a way to do it. I'm just a little bit worried, though. I think it was Jake that said the mystery element might be a little lost in that, because this is basically very straightforward. We're just in on it. So, yeah, I think there is some potential there that could be done. I do, but I'm with Fate. I'd rather see that in like an 8-series season. Really, let that play out over 8-10 episodes where you can really have development of these people and really get into the works of this cult, and versus trying to cram that into 90 minutes, 2 hours. It's a lot. So yeah, I would rather see that be a series. I agree. Hollywood guy, thank you. It's a great theory, great thought, and thanks for the support of the channel, man. It's much appreciated. All right, guys. Well, I wanted to say one quick thing, and we're gonna head out. I just put the link for next week's show on Fate's channel in the chat again. Please click that, hit the like button and the subscribe button. And I want to announce real quick that Knight and I are doing something fun. We like to do these special events throughout the year, and we are launching this week Bloody Summerfest. Starts this Wednesday night with a Hard Eyes watch party right here on my channel. We're going to go the very next night to Knight's channel, watch the movie Companion with Jack Quaid. And by the way, Mason Gooding is in Hard Eyes. And so we got the Scream connections working. And then next week, Knight, why don't you tell us next week briefly, real briefly, what we're doing next week?
yeah, and then the next week we have just basically some special streams. We're calling them party streams, but there's going to be some deep connections to what happens this week. That's all. That's all we're going to say. A couple surprises, but it should be a lot of fun. It really, really should.
Yes, it's gonna. I promise you guys, we're doing some different things for you. Come check it out, and of course, we have the after party as we always do, July 2nd. So be there. But it starts off Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, right here for the Hard Eyes Watch Party with you guys and Knight and Coriander from the Night Watch Zone. We're gonna have a good time. All right, last words, Knight. This is it. Just quick last thing you want to say before you say bye.
I can't wait to talk about Scream 6 because if it's anything like we did today with 5, it's gonna be a killer scream, baby.
It's gonna be great.
Yes. All right. Bait.
Like I said, it's gonna be great because I hate that movie and I will be hosting the stream. So it couldn't be better.
No, that's right.
Welcome to my world, bitch.
I fear
Jake?
I may be silenced. I may be muzzled on this stream. Ladies and gentlemen, look out for my safety next week.
Oh, I'm gonna look out for your safety too, brother. Trust me. But Jake, final words.
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole
That's
thing.
it. That's the
I
whole
love
thing
Scream
right there.
6. I'll die on that hill, baby. That's it. It's the whole thing.
Woo. It's gonna be fun, guys. You don't want to miss it next week. And same here for me. Can't wait. Lethal Collective next Monday, Fates channel, 6 o'clock Central, and it's gonna be a banger. I can already tell. All right, guys. Listen, everyone backstage, I'll see you there here on the panel. Everyone in the chat, thank you guys for being here. Thanks for your super chats. Thanks for being awesome people and making this community great. We love you. See you next Monday at Face Channel. Till then, have a great one. Bye, guys.
Peace.